And let's go to William. Are you there, William? I see you here.
Yes, yes, I am.
Please, there you are. Great. And share your screen, and we just take it away. Brilliant. Perfect.
Super.
Take it away.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and speak with all of you. I'm William Bergh. I'm the founder and the CEO of Cling Systems. And one of the reasons I'm sitting here is I was part of the recycling team of Northvolt, and specifically I looked into a collection of end-of-life batteries coming out of electric vehicles. It turns out there's a lot of issues with actually finding and collecting the batteries for recycling, and which is why I founded Cling more than a year ago. It's here, there we go. So I'll quickly go through why I really care about this problem, and therefore, and thereafter going into where the batteries actually go at end of life, like how does the collection look like, and seeing how we can enable circularity. So problem number one, which is probably one of the that I care most about, is that material production makes up 20% of greenhouse gas emissions globally, and batteries, apart from other sources, is actually dependent on material production, and it's made up predominantly by mining and refining of these materials. And the mining is well, it's done in weak regions globally, and safety is just a paper, even though many state that they're cracking down on the problems with the mining. The second one is actually where the refining is done. And as was mentioned earlier today, is that, you know, almost the entire battery value chain is controlled by a handful of countries. And if we're approaching a future where batteries is the key technology for our energy storage, we just have to have more countries participating and to make this industry more competitive. And there's one solution to all these problems, and it's circularity. And we're quickly approaching one of the biggest enablers of circularity ever, and it's in terms of the global transition to battery electric vehicles and battery powered electric systems. And it's producing a lot of waste batteries. The growth is quite remarkable, and it's driven by the fact that we adopt batteries basically everywhere in our everyday life, but also in the industry and across all verticals. So it's a global transition, but where do the batteries end up? And it has a lot of local consequences. So this is quite a peculiar graph, but this is the number of Swedish car dismantlers over the last 20 years. And car dismantlers are dependent on dismantling vehicles and selling spare parts. But as vehicles get better and better, they don't need as many spare parts. But also with electrification, electric vehicles are not really worth very much at end of life, except for the battery. So car dismantlers, which makes up the physical network where end of life vehicles and therefore the batteries end up, they have to monetize batteries. Otherwise, this industry and the entire network of where batteries reach end of life is gone. So what they do is that they see the batteries as a potential asset. So what happens is that the batteries get stuck at these dismantlers. So on the picture on the left is one of the largest car dismantlers here in the Nordics, where they clear the field in the backyard and they fill these, and they put the shipping containers, typical ones, and they kind of fill them with batteries coming out of electric vehicles. And on the far right, you see just hundreds of electric bike batteries. And the reason they're not going to recycling is because, well, maybe they can get paid for these batteries, but probably they will not, because most batteries are not suitable for second life. But it's this, some batteries are and some not. So this potential assets, the belief that some batteries are suitable for second life, is kind of trapping all batteries. So the solution is that it's all about smart collection. So how do we unlock these batteries at car dismantlers? Well, starting off where they can go. They can be reused in other vehicles. They can be used in another application, as we've heard before, in a second life, storing residential energy from solar power or backing up the electric grid. But eventually all batteries should reach raw material recycling. And one of the biggest misconceptions in the end-of-life industry of electric vehicle batteries is that the key data point for deciding where you should go in these circular value streams is state of health and battery diagnostics. Well, it is super important to know how much energy there's left in an end-of-life vehicle, in an end-of-life battery. But it's one among many different aspects that you have to consider. One is, where is the battery? We have tens of thousands of car dismantlers and workshops in Europe alone, where vehicles end up. The collection system is not very consolidated, but on the contrary, it's super fragmented, where Europe actually loses up to 40% of all end-of-life vehicles because of just lack of transparency, lack of tracking, and so on. Then, of course, battery diagnostics is a very important part. It's like the working unit for what the battery value is. But moving the batteries from point A to point B, handling logistics, we have hazardous goods, dangerous goods. We have specific battery packagings that should be provided to the shipper or seller. Then again, we have a new battery regulation kicking in from January 2022 that is stipulating a much increased reporting on collection numbers, recycling rates. And then we have one of the biggest blocks, which is kind of hilarious, but it's the producer responsibility. Who carries the liabilities when something goes wrong in an end of life? Is it the initial producer, like the car manufacturer, or is it actually the repurposing company? It should quite obviously be the repurposing company, but maybe not, because there can be faults that they won't know about or can't do anything about. So that's is solved by intelligence. So we have hundreds of these, or we have many of these aspects that we have to consider, and that combined makes up where a battery should go. So this creates a very complex answer to where each and every battery should go. But where we start is that we start with enabling all car dismantlers and workshops and others multiple choices to where their batteries could go. So what we do is that we're building a platform that allows recycling companies to let us know what they're looking for, what type of batteries, what chemistries they're looking for. Same thing with repurposing companies, what battery models, what battery chemistries, what are they building for a second life system? And then we're taking those requests and going to this ecosystem of car dismantlers, scrapyards, workshops, insurance companies, OEMs, anyone with a waste battery really, telling them that, okay, we actually have a seller for you. So we do the matching of batteries, of supply and demand. We move into battery pricing negotiations, and we do the transportation as well. And where we are going from here is that we find ourselves in a typical market platform chicken and egg problem. We need supply to find demand, or kind of intrigue demand, and vice versa. So what we're doing now is that we're working with the Swedish supply of batteries from car dismantlers and the Nordics. And we work with a European demand from repurposing companies across Europe, currently from 8 different countries. But what we do need and are really looking for in this event is finding one or a few of the bigger kind of collaborators where we can test our product against and see how we can help to attack these kind of more consolidated, larger flows of end-of-life batteries. So with that said, I just want to thank you very much to taking the time to listen in, and hope to speak more.
Great, thank you, William. Very good. Let's see if we have any questions on the chat. No. So I think you covered very well all the aspects of your business, and maybe you said nothing about if you are interested in investors or where you are on that point.
Oh, good question. We're just about to close our seed round.
Okay.
So it's filled up with. There is a lot of we're filled up with with our seed round, but happy to get in touch anyways.
Okay, great. Well, that's very good. I also have a question. So can you just explain a little bit about your business model, as of today? So where do the money go and what stays with you?
Yes, as of today, it's I can stop sharing. So as of today, it's predominantly from transaction fees. So taking cut of the transacted value. But moving forward, what we see long term is that data will be much more of a revenue stream that it can be today, and just actually driven by new regulations of collection rates, and just to kind of provide the transparency and the traceability that is required to comply with the future battery regulations.
Super. Very good. Thank you so much, William.